Welcome to Watch Your Mouth, the podcast series brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness's Oral Health Unit. I'm your host, Dr. Chanel Dempster-Peart, and today we're addressing a serious issue affecting our communities: illegal dental practices in Jamaica. Joining us is Senior Superintendent of Police, Dennis Brooks, Senior Communications Strategist at the Jamaica Constabulary Force. In today's episode, we'll focus on how law enforcement is actively policing and clamping down on unlicensed individuals who are performing unauthorized dental procedures. From fake doctors illegally extracting teeth to denture makers and even medical aestheticians offering veneers. There's a lot of illegal activity that's threatening public health. SSP Brooks will share insights into the challenges and successes of his team's efforts to stop these dangerous practices. Let's get started. Thanks for being here, SSP Brooks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dempster-Peart. It's a very important conversation, so it's something that we take very seriously.
Could you give us an overview into the current situation regarding illegal dental practices in Jamaica?
Sure. Well, there is a legislative and a regulatory framework that we have a responsibility to enforce. Now, the reality is that we have activities that range from unlicensed individuals who are performing extractions. We have denture makers who are practicing beyond what they are reasonably licensed to do. Unregulated aesthetic procedures like the veneers that you mentioned, and also you even have health fairs and people encouraging people to visit them when they are not properly licensed to do so. And so these things are not only illegal, but they are a public health concern because of the risk of infections, complications, and even some very permanent damage. And these are things that we have seen, but it is something that a part of enforcement, and this is something that I think we need to emphasize, a part of enforcement is public education. So this conversation is important.
And you've hit the nail on the head. Quite frankly, some people don't realize it's illegal. They can be arrested and they can be charged. That's correct?
Absolutely. Ignorance of the law is no defense. It doesn't protect anyone from liability. And so the reality is that there is the Dental Act. There are other public health regulations that we have to be mindful of. And it's clear that really licensed professionals providing dental care should be adhering to these regulations and legislations. And if not, then there are the guardrails of society that should be made to work. And so for those persons who might say, yeah, fight against a man, try hustle, a man, try live, that's not how society works. There are guardrails for a reason.
And it's for safety, to ensure there's quality standard of care being provided. We recognize too that social media has become a major platform for advertising these illegal dental services. How are your teams tracking and identifying these unauthorized advertisements?
All right, so for us, the enforcement of these kinds of activities, it resides in large measure with CTOC, that's the Counterterrorism and Organized Crime Branch, but also the National Intelligence Bureau, NIB. And so there is a lot of work that goes into monitoring social media, because social media has become a very influential and powerful marketplace. It's a powerful tool for illegal services, and some people become very popular, they become very noteworthy, establishing a social media presence, offering to do things that they have no real right or license
No
to
training.
do. They don't have the proper training. They've not gone to school. They don't have the proper facilities to do this. And people see these people on social media, send them a DM, and before you know it, they are making very serious decisions that can have permanent consequences. It's important for people to understand that you're making a health decision. Some of these people are performing surgeries and they are not licensed to do so. And so social media has become the frontier of law enforcement where we are now having to enforce in the virtual space.
Are there any challenges associated with trying to enforce these laws, whether social media being the one to alert you or otherwise?
Certainly, because I mean, if you would imagine before social media, you would have to, if you wanted to advertise, you would have to advertise in mainstream media, which has its own guardrails, and you just would not have it. Now, on social media, there's a greater ease with which persons are able to create and promote services and offer themselves and demonstrate quote unquote happy customers and all of these things, which becomes more attractive. And then if they have a large following, they're now able to pass themselves off as legitimate. There are many people who are duped into procuring these services, and due to a sense of embarrassment, they are not willing to come now and say that, hey, I had a bad experience. And so because of that, now you have the continuation of victimization. And we often say that if you do not know that you have been the victim of a crime, then you're not going to make a complaint, you're not going to give a statement, and enforcement becomes difficult.
So unless the individuals affected make a complaint, then you'll continue to have this challenge.
It makes it difficult to stop the challenge because, again, yes, persons, if you don't know that you are the victim of a crime, then it is more difficult for us to know that there's a perpetrator of a crime. And you can't have a charge of someone without an accuser. And so if persons genuinely don't know that what you have done, what you have bought is it's a crime, the marketplace for this thing is illegal, then it becomes more difficult for us to enforce.
Thanks for explaining that for us. So it's clear that this practice is illegal. It may have been happening for a long time without social media, but now social media is highlighting it. Nonetheless, the Jamaica Constabulary Force is aware, and you're taking actions against this?
Certainly, because there have been cease and desist orders that have been implemented. There have been facilities that have been shut down. As you've said, these are things that maybe would have been taking place in the past. We've received reports of these things taking place in informal settings, in back rooms, in some informal marketplaces. Yeah, you have a dentures link, which seemed very innocent back then, but now, especially when things become a fad in other jurisdictions, like the veneers, for instance. So everybody's now saying, oh, I'm going to go and get veneers. And then someone now, with the rise of influencer marketing as well, which we didn't mention before, but with the rise of influencer marketing, now I'm paying you to, to say that this was a great experience. And now you're now using your platform to advertise this wonderful experience. And now look at my teeth. I have the teeth that I've always dreamed of. And people also, one of the reasons why it's more prevalent is because people might not want to spend the money necessary to go through the legitimate process. Yes. People might not want to take the time necessary, the 2 years plus that it might take to wear braces. So they'll just get veneers, and it's the easy way. And very often the easy way is not the safer way. And so people are capitalizing on this type of behavior, on top of this type of tendency now, and saying, hey, just pay me this. And this is the easy way out.
Quick fix is what they're looking for, sadly, but you've said it. It's not safe. It's not best. SSP Brooks, is your organization collaborating with any other agencies to address this issue?
Absolutely. So, of course, the Ministry of Health and Wellness is a key stakeholder. But then there's the Dental Council of Jamaica. There's the Medical Council of Jamaica. There's the Consumer Affairs Commission. And of course, within the JCF, the Cyber Crimes Unit, which, as I said, falls under CTOC. One of the strategic priorities of the Jamaica Constabulary Force is strategic partnerships and building and strengthening strategic partnerships. And so we cannot enforce this legislation without strategic partnerships because we're not patrolling dental offices on a daily basis. So we rely on people to make a complaint maybe to the Consumer Affairs Commission. We rely on the Ministry of Health and Wellness. We rely on Dental Council, Medical Council, and other strategic partnerships to ensure that we know where the quote-unquote hotspots are, where the troubles areas are, and so that we can go into these spaces, do our investigations, and sometimes it's a matter of somebody online, and we're very grateful for the increased trust that people have, that people will call Crime Stop. People will send us direct messages and say, hey, check out this page. These people are fake. I mean, we used to use this term quacks back in the day, and there are, people who are quack doctors, so and so, who are capitalizing on people's need for a quick fix. Somebody saw me the other day and said, where did you get your braces? And I told them, where? And they said, oh, me have a braces link. And I'm like, how do you have a braces link? And they're like, yeah, man, it's not what you do. And like, it works just as good as what you do, but there's not as much maintenance every month. And I'm saying, fake braces.
Fake braces. And these persons are really just plaguing on their vulnerabilities of some of our Jamaicans. And it's really sad to see. I mean, I'm in health, so I see the deleterious effect.
Yes.
What happens
they come to you to fix the problem.
To fix the problem. But certainly you would have seen that persons out there are interested in demanding the service, but just need to know where to get it from in a safe way, as you shared in that story. Do you have any success stories, though, that you could tell us about when it comes to enforcement?
As I said, there are some people who, they continue to be popular on, for instance, social media, but there are some who you don't see as much anymore because they have been forced to desist. Won't call any names, but there are some who had a notable presence and their presence is significantly reduced. There are some who maybe they continue, I don't know, but my information in liaising with Cyber Crimes Unit and in liaising with CTOC is that, we have managed to significantly reduce the ways in which people have gone about doing it without any care that what they're doing is illegal. I think that one of the biggest successes is in increasing public awareness, the fact that you want to have this conversation with us, and that we are able to have this conversation with you is a success in and of itself. And so when, we work with court administrative division, it's good to get the stories that, persons are successfully prosecuted. The DPP's office is again another key stakeholder that we partner with, and so in some of the stories, as in the actual individual cases, those are the people that we call to say, what was the last thing that you investigated or not investigated, that you prosecuted successfully, because these are the stories that need to be told.
Well, on behalf of the Jamaican people, I have to say thank you to JCF and your team as well, with social media input and ensuring that the messages are getting out there. Finally, what would be your message to the public about the risks associated with seeking dental services from unlicensed providers, and how can individuals help in reporting these illegal practices?
Well, what I would say is, first of all, if the deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. And if these persons are perpetuating a fraud, persons who are in the business of fraud, persons who are in the business of scamming, are likely to be in the business of fraud and scamming elsewhere. And so they're probably not just scamming you in relation to teeth, or they're not just defrauding people in relation to these kinds of monies, but they are likely to exist within a broader context, a criminal organizational context. And so I would urge persons to be wary. It is very dangerous. You more than I can speak to the serious infections, the permanent damage, and the costly interventions after the fact. For us, it takes considerable investigative time that we could be spent doing other things, but nonetheless, we have to do it. It's a part of our job. I would say if you suspect any illegal activities, report it to CTOC, report it to us, because these are things that we are concerned about. We're not going to ridicule you. You don't have to be embarrassed that you were tricked into it. These things happen more frequently than you might believe.
All right, SSP Brooks, every guest on Watch Your Mouth, they have to leave us with a parting word, like a lastly. What's yours?
Take care of your teeth.
How many words was that?
Take care of your teeth. My last lick is, accountability. Accountability.
Right.
Whether you're a patient, accountability. Whether you're trying to expand beyond what you're licensed to do, accountability. That's my last lick, accountability.
I like it. I like it. Thanks so much for all the work you've been doing to help keep Jamaicans safe, generally and specifically for oral health.
Indeed.
And thank you for your time being here with us. That brings us to the end of today's important episode of Watch Your Mouth. A big thank you again to Senior Superintendent Dennis Brooks for joining us and providing us with such critical insights into the fight against illegal dental practices. It's clear that the work being done to keep our communities safe from unlicensed providers is vital, and we all have a role to play in protecting our health. Remember, always seek dental services from qualified and licensed professionals. Your health and safety comes first, and together we can work towards a healthier, more informed future for Jamaica. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, keep brushing, stay safe, and watch your mouth.